done some research, originally from Houston, Texas.
Right.
Just talk to me a little bit about your journey, to McMurray University.
Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously Houston and Abilene, when you think about them, they're a little bit different. But it was a little bit of a culture shock. Uh, to say moving as an 18-year-old 6 hours away from home. One of the big things I remember was how friendly the people were in Abilene. And I wasn't used to that coming from a big city like Houston. I thought it was weird that people make eye contact and kind of greet you, or people holding the door open for you, all that good stuff. But in time, it kind of became part of my fabric and how you treat people, man. And I got that from Abilene. But no, it was a great place, man. The big country, as I refer to it, was a great place. I met my wife there, who ran track. She was All-American track runner, Taryn Scott. And obviously from there, she gave me two beautiful daughters, Keena and Karl, who are right now drawn on the board being Coach Scott. So uh, a lot of special things coming out of McMurray and Abilene.
It's definitely, I feel like a similar story that I hear to most people that, come to the big country. They typically fall in love and
Yeah.
go from there. Talk to me a little bit about, what you remember from your time at McMurray and, how it kind of shaped your journey now.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that stands out to me was just me getting out of my comfort zone, being uncomfortable and learning to adapt. And I say that just because, without that, I don't think I could have made all the stops around the beautiful United States that I've made. It all started with me taking that chance and going out to Abilene. And, 6 hour drive. The midpoint was Temple. It was always a ritual of mine to stop at the Jack in the Box off of 36. And I kind of knew that was my halfway point home. And, like I said, at the start, man, it was like, man, this is a long trip. But then in turn, kind of found the bright spot. Crazy enough, my wife's from Waco. So exit 36 going through Gatesville, going to Waco to visit her. Made the trips too a little bit better, So the biggest thing was just getting out of my comfort zone, and you kind of look at all the places I've been, whether it's as far east as East Tennessee, or as far north as Minnesota, in the middle of the country, and then now all the way in the corner of the country in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. I don't think I could have done that or been comfortable doing that initially if I didn't have the experience what I went through going to McMurray from Houston.
And, thinking about how your journey has evolved, what does that mean for you? Thinking about the big country being a small rural area to be able to
Mhm.
bring some of that, like you said, that hospitality, some of these traits that we can accredit to the big country all the way out to, Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, it's an honor. It's a sense of responsibility. I don't take it lightly. I'm appreciative of it. Enjoy. I've got so many texts and calls and messages of just well wishes and just happy for me, genuinely happy for me and my wife and my family, man. So, I can't say enough, man, of the support that's pouring in from afar. I feel like I'm still in the big country, but at the same time too, being able to get the name of McMurray out there and, let people know that, a lot of things are possible through the 14th and sales, so very, very, again, appreciative of McMurray.
And, just thinking about some of the students that are there now, a place that you once were, what do you say to students who are going through McMurray University now? And, what's kind of your advice to them?
Yeah, dream big, dream big. It's not big. It's nothing too big. Honestly, I'm living proof of that, man. If you set your mind to it and you can see it, you definitely can accomplish it just from those grounds down there on 14th and Sale. So, it might sound outrageous to the person next to you, but at the same time, if you have conviction in your heart and know what you want to do, man, it's possible. I think that's the biggest thing. It's possible.
And then, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, what is that like for you also to be at Super Bowl 60? throughout the journey of your career, from college coaching, from Alabama to Texas Tech, to the Vikings, to the Seahawks in 22. What has that been like to you, these past couple of years, to see this dark side defense, kind of evolve into this Super Bowl team?
Yeah, man, it's been a fun ride, obviously, to have a first row seat of kind of, working from the ground level, coming in with a new staff with Coach Mike McDonald, implementing his system, his organizational views, and then kind of seeing it trickle down. It's been exciting, it's been exciting every step of the way. When you get a chance to compete, you always you take advantage of it if you're a true competitor. And then when you think about it, in the world right now, in February, there's only two teams preparing to play. And we happen to be one of them. So don't take that opportunity lightly. But the bigger picture, obviously, starting with the end in mind, is not necessarily just to get here, which is an honor, but to do it the right way and finish it off. Because there's only one team out of 32 that's happy at the end of the year. We want to make sure that's us.
And then thinking about your role, on this defense, the defense has a reputation, like I said, the dark side, but QBs
Mm.
rarely get clean pockets. Receivers rarely get free releases. This is a very dominant defense. I want to say it was one of the fifth best pressure percentages in the regular season. What is some of that goes into, this Patriots offense with this Super Bowl game?
I think it's a challenge. Obviously, there's a reason they're here in the Super Bowl. You don't get here by accident. But at the same time, talking about us, man, I think one of the biggest strengths that we have as a unit. Everybody talks about the dark side, and it's kind of taken off into a life of its own, which is a great thing. But the connection that our guys have is something special to see. Sometimes it's hard to kind of put it into words, because you're around it. But I'm talking about just seeing, grown men that really care for one another. And it's almost it's an amazing thing to see a guy wanting to do his best because he doesn't want to let the guy next to him down. And everybody knows their responsibility. Nobody's bigger than the next guy. Everybody's job's important. And those guys they take pride in their roles, and you kind of see it in their play, in their pride and performance, and what they do. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just the connection of these guys. At the end of the day, these guys, man, you kind of get the feeling that they're not they're not done playing with each other. They want to continue to play with each other, and they've done that, and that's what they're fighting for because of the connection that these guys have. So, we obviously know that this is the last one, but we might as well do it the right way, and connect like we've done, the past several weeks.
And then also, just thinking about how your role as a coach, is implemented, from coaching college guys to, coaching professionals, that is a different role, just with these being, like you said, grown men, right? And for them to have such care for the game, how have you been able to evolve as a coach, and what have you been able to learn, under Coach Mike?
Yeah, yeah. I think, whether it's college, pros, middle school, Pop Warner, the one common variable in all of that is people, and learning people, listening to people, understanding people. I think that takes it a long way. It takes you a long way in this profession because, at the end of the day, no matter where they're at, who they are, guys want to know, do you care about them? Can you help me? And do you truly have my best interest in mind? And I feel like I have all three of those boxes checked off when, guys come into my room and come into this organization. I take ownership. I take pride in that because anytime I can be a part of the next man's journey, that's a special honor. So I don't take that lightly, man. So, evolving, man, is something that you want to do every day. I feel like I'm a guy who knows nothing, constantly trying to learn. And I think that's the attitude you got to have to stay evolving, and that's a good word, evolving. But when it comes down to the people, man, the people are the people, and obviously too, it takes good people to know good people. So you try to surround yourself with good people, man, and I've been blessed to do that. Been fortunate enough to do that, and here we are.
And you brought up, having daughters. Can I ask, are they into sports?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, they're tossing around. I learned the Nickelodeon trophy, the slime trophy, which is a football. They're tossing it around right now. My 8-year-old, both of them are starting soccer. I mean, excuse me, basketball right now. My 8-year-old and my 4-year-old. And then my 8-year-old has played soccer for the last 5 years. And then my 4-year-old, this was her first year of soccer. So they're active, not necessarily a specific sport, that they hone in on, but try to teach them the values of, competitiveness and doing your best.
Mhm. And what is that like for you? We a couple of days ago was just National Women in Sports Day, right?
Yeah.
And just seeing, how women's sports, flag football, women's tackle football, just women's sports in general has grown.
Mhm.
Even their participation within Super Bowl 50, seeing the flag games that have gone on this week. What is that like for you to be raising, little girls and to be a
Yeah.
part of that journey as well?
Yeah, man. It's a, it's a daily learning experience. I'll be lying to you if I told you I knew it all. But you try to instill some of the characteristics that you feel is important for them as they get older. And honestly, too, being able to see examples of that, not only women, but women that look like them, accomplishing things and letting them know anything is possible. One of the first things I tell both of my daughters is, as crazy enough as it seems, but they're going to be the first sisters to be the United States, the presidents of the United States, so kind of aiming big, and that's what we want to start in our house and, see what the cards made. But, it's nothing unrealistic. It's awesome to see these girls. I really lived through them, and kind of see myself in them at times, but then let them be themselves too and grow up and be here more for support than it is to push them in any type of way. Be here to support them doing their best, as I always try to stress to them, not necessarily of right or wrong or wins or losses, but as long as they do their best, dad is proud of them.
And then just with both you and your wife, coming through McMurray, what is also what is some of her role been in this entire journey? Also being an athlete herself.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely say she's the head coach. She's the GM of the Scott family. She keeps everybody in line. She does stuff that I can only dream of doing as far as her organizational skills. Somehow she grows, two extra arms and two extra legs and two extra sets of eyes, man. She's amazing. She's amazing. And I truly mean I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I'm honored and very blessed to have her as a partner, man. So, we're a tag team, but like I said, she's definitely the GM and the head coach of this organization.
Okay, so that really wraps up everything that I have. I just kind of want to give you
Mhm.
this time if there's anything that you like to add or anything maybe that I didn't touch on, and that can be McMurray related or otherwise. If there's anything you would like to add.
No, I would like my two daughters to introduce themselves, just to say their names and their age, if you don't mind.
Of course,
Uh,
I would love
Keena,
that.
Karl, y'all come over here real quick and come speak. All right, just say your first and last name and
Hi.
your age.
My name's Keena Scott.
Hi.
Hello, my name's Kari Scott.
Hello,
Uh,
Keena and Corey. I heard y'all are the soccer stars and basketball stars.
Yep. And I'm 4 years old.
You
how
are
do you
4 years
do?
old.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, they are
Thanks.
gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can get back to playing as well, Justin. Yeah, orange juice. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. But they're obviously my pride and joy. So, like I said, try to live through them, and I want them to do their best. And I think if they do that, that they'll be good enough.
Definitely, definitely. Shameless plug. I was a volleyball player. Get him into
Yeah.
volleyball next.
Oh yeah.
Flag football is on the rise too.
Oh well, my 4-year old. I'm sorry I didn't mention that, but she played flag football this year,
Yeah.
uh, up there in Seattle. So we're exposing them to as much as they want to be exposed to, and even some that they don't. Just to learn that how to
Mhm.
compete and how to work as a team, work with others. I mean, all the stuff that I think sports teaches you or reveals of you.
Mhm.
Uh, want to get those guys, want to get these girls exposed to those as early as possible.
Mhm. I'm always an advocate, so I love that. I would say, there's been obviously a lot of support here. All of the coaching staff I've seen has been, congratulating you and cheering you on. Is there anything that you would say to them?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I know that's, I feel like that's not even, doesn't really express my gratitude enough, but sincerely, thank you. I got notified that I was the first alum to be participating as a player or a coach in the Super Bowl from McMurray, which is an honor in itself. But more importantly, man, I want to not just be the first person to participate in it, but how about I be the first to win it? And that's the goal. That's the main goal. So thank you, man. I can't say it enough to all the well wishes. I've gotten everything from, we're pulling for you. All of Abilene is pulling for you. The big country's pulling for you. Uh, Things like that, man, where you kind of realize the magnitude of this when you're stuck in this bubble that we're stuck in our world. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to sincerely reach out and say thank you to those guys and those women.